My name is Thomas Karbowski, and we're back with Project 3. So first things first, we're going to go over to Fluent, and we're going to open up Geometry, and go and change this from analysis type from 3D to 2D. And then we're going to open up Geometry and do New Design Modeler Geometry. And we're going to wait for that to load. Okay, and now we're back in here. We want to go and orient this against the z-axis, and we're going to make sure that we're in the xy plane. We want to make sure our units are in millimeters. And then next, we are just going to move this over a little bit just to get the orientation right. Zoom in a little bit. Make sure that we're in a good position. Next, we're going to go over to sketching and rectangle, and we're going to base the rectangle around at least the corner in the XY plane, starting at 0. And we want to make our rectangle. We're going to go over to dimensions, and we're going to go to general, and we're going to make our height and our length. So we are going to make our height 5 millimeters, and since our length is 150 times our height, we are going to make our height 750 millimeters. And then next, we're going to move this over so we kind of get the whole thing in view. Gotta zoom out quite a bit though. And perfect, that looks good. Next, we have to go over to modeling, and we're gonna do concept. And then we're gonna go to surface from sketches, and we're gonna be our XY plane because that's where we have our sketch 1, apply, and then generate. All right, and then that looks good. We have our sketch, so now we can close this, go back to the workbench, and we can update this, make sure that everything checks out, and we're good. We got a check mark. Next, we have to go and update the mesh, and we're gonna wait for that to load. Okay, great. Now that we have this all loaded in, we're gonna click on mesh, and we're gonna go to insert, and we're gonna method, and then we want to just click on that one and click on our model, and we're gonna apply that because that's the geometry that we're messing with. And then from here, we are going to click on mesh again, and we're going to insert sizing. And we want to set this to edge because we're going to go and hang on one second. Zoom in on this part right here. And so we're just going to select our inlet, and we are going to go over to the other side and select the outlet and make sure we have both of those edges selected. And then we're going to come over here. That should be good. And now we just have to apply this. So you see our 2 edges, which is good. And then we want to change our element size to number of divisions. And we're going to make this 70. And then we're going to come over to capture curvature, and we're going to say no. And then behavior, we are going to make this hard. Okay, and then I think that looks good. So next, we're going to go back to mesh, and we're going to insert another sizing. This time we're going to select the top and the bottom of the plate. And We're going to apply that, and you see we have our two edges as well again. We're going to choose number of divisions, same as last time, but this time we're going to do 800 divisions. And then we're going to say capture curvature as no. And then we should change the behavior to hard. And then that looks good. So next thing we have to do is insert face mesh, and we're just going to select our model, and we're going to click apply. And there you go. Now that's our face mesh. We can go over here to generate. And then once that should be generated, there you go. You see that it's updated, and you can see that we have a very fine mesh with a bunch of divisions, so that way we can get a good reading. Look at this side. We're going to come over here now, and we are going to click edge, and we're going to have to name the edges. So we're going to start by naming this one, and we're going to name it our inlet. I'm going to click OK. Next, we're going to do the same thing, click the top, and we are going to call this the top wall. And then we're going to click OK. And then same thing, that, click N, and then bottom wall. And then click OK. Next, we are going to zoom out and go over to the other side, zoom in right here. And then we are going to select this one, and we're just going to call this our outlet. And then we're going to click OK. Okay, and then next we are going to look and see we have all of our names selected, make sure those all came in there. Should be good. And then we should be done with the mesh, and we want to make sure that we can update this, and we get a good check mark here showing that everything's good. Perfect. So next thing we can do is go and close this tab out. I'll wait for that to close. Should be any second. Okay, we're going to go back to our workbook. Perfect. Okay, that's closed now, or in the process of closing. There we go. And now we can go and click on our setup. Wait for that to load. And then we want to do double precision and 2 solver processes. And then we're going to click start. And we'll come back once this has loaded in. Okay, great. Now we have everything loaded in. We're going to go over to models and click on viscous, because we want our flow to be laminar. And we're going to click OK. Perfect. That's good there. Now we can go and over to our materials, because it says in the project we can choose whatever we want. So for our purposes, we're just going to choose air, because it makes the most sense. And all of our values look good here. And then close this out. Perfect. And then we're going to go over to the boundary conditions. And we are going to click on that. First thing, we're going to look at the inlet. And we're going to edit. Wait for the flow. Okay. Now you see where our inlet. For our velocity magnitude, this is supposed to be 5 as per the instructions. And we apply this. And then it should be good. And then close this out. Next, we can go over to the bottom wall. And we're going to edit this. Wait for that to load. Okay, perfect. All right, now we're in this. We want to do a moving wall, and we want this to be a speed of 2 meters per second, but we want this to be in the -1 x direction. Okay, we're going to click apply, and then close this. Then next we're going to go over to the top wall, and we are going to edit this. And same thing, we're going to do moving wall, and except this time it's going to be 3 meters. Yeah, I think 3 meters in the positive x direction. So we're going to click apply, and then we can close out of this. But actually, I just realized though, we need to go back into the bottom wall, and we're going to edit this again because we're supposed to be absolute for motion type. So we're going to apply this, and then we can close this out, and we have to go back into the other one, to the top wall as well, and fix this. We're going to edit, and we're going to change that to absolute as well. And everything should be good now. We can move on to the next step. So next, we need to go over to the initialization. And then once that loads, we're going to just do hybrid initialization. Should be good. And then initialize. Perfect, initialization is done. Then next, we can go over to run calculation. Let to load. And we are going to do 250 iterations. And we're going to click calculate. And we're going to wait for that to get done. And you see, perfect. Now it's running through the iterations. And when it's complete, it will let us know. And so it may take a second. No, perfect. All right, calculation complete. That's exactly what we wanted. Next, we are going to go over to our graphics, and we're going to go into vectors. Perfect. And this is so we can see our velocity magnitude, but want to make sure we select everything here. Now once we do that, we just click Save Display. And then perfect, that's what we want loaded. Now we're just going to have to zoom in here. And you can see kind of that contour, but this one has the, give me 1 second. And try to zoom in on this. Okay, we're just gonna, oh, hang on, it may have just crashed. Okay, so we're back, it just crashed. And so I have everything reloaded and zoomed in. Here you can see that we have velocity magnitude, and you have our vectors, and you see where it goes back the other way. So everything here looks good for our graphic. And then we can close out of this. Next, we have to go into the contours, wait for that to load. And we want to take a look at the static pressure of obviously the whole system. So save display. And then zoom out. Perfect. You can see now our static pressure contour for the system. And then next we want to take a look at our dynamic pressure. Save display. And once again, we can zoom in on this, and you get to see exactly what the dynamic pressure looks like. That's what we're looking for right here. And then finally, we can come over to the total pressure, save display, and once again, we have our contour for our total pressure throughout. Okay, that's the inlet, and then over here, we have our outlet and the rest of the graph, or not graph, but contour. Okay, everything here looks good. We can close this out. Next thing we need is to go over to our plots, and we're going to go XY plot, and we are going to create a new surface, line/rake, and we're just going to call this new line midpoint, which will be helpful later on. And then we want to do this at 0.375, x1 at 0.375 as well, y0 at 0, and then y1 at 0.005. Perfect. And we're going to do create. And then we have to do another one. So we're going to call this one end point. And we're going to make this one 0.375. Or not 0.375, we're getting rid of that one. And then we're going to make this one 0.750. And we're going to make x1 0.750 as well. And then we can keep y0 and y1 the same. So once we do that, we can create. And we're going to close this out. Now we have, you see our new points that we wanted to add in. And this is going to be helpful right here. We're going to deselect that and choose position on the y-axis. We're going to make this 0 and 1. Next, we need to change this to velocity, and we want this to be our x velocity. Now we're going to see between the endpoint and the midpoint, which is exactly what we're looking for. And then we're going to save/plot. And right here you can see our endpoint and our midpoint are listed, and it gives us where our total x velocity is, or where I guess you say our greatest x velocity is at what points. Next, we are going to go to actually we're going to go to our surface integrals. Okay, perfect. And then what we're going to do is we're going to choose area because we're trying to look for our vertex maximum. And we're going to choose velocity, bottom wall. We're going to choose everything here. And the point being, so we can figure out where the maximum vertex value is, or where we have the greatest velocity. So it's going to be at so it gives us as 7.38. So if we zoom in right here, we see 7.34, and that's going to be at a height of 2.93 times 10 to the -3 meters. And so this is exactly what we're looking for right here. And then next, we are going to go to our area weighted average, and we're going to choose pressure, static pressure, and we're just going to deselect these, and we want this to just be between the endpoint and the midpoint. We're going to click compute. And now that gives us our static pressures, which we are going to use to compute our pressure gradient, which ends up being -37.534 pascals per meter, where through theory I got -38.64 pascals per meter. which is right around what you're expecting. And so that should be everything you should do. Thank you again for watching.